Have you ever stopped to think about how we even talk about, well, anything? At the heart of it all are nouns. They are the absolute building blocks of language, the words that let us put a name to everything we can see, think, or feel. So, let's dive in. Here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start with what nouns are all about. Then, we'll get into some cool distinctions, common versus proper, and concrete versus abstract. After that, we'll see how we count and group them, and we'll wrap it all up by seeing nouns in action right inside a sentence. All right, let's kick things off with a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine a world where we couldn't name anything. Can you picture it? It would just be, utter confusion. Nouns are basically our answer to all that chaos.
No, seriously, think about it for a second. How would you ask for a glass of water? How could you possibly tell a story about your friend or your pet, or the city you live in? Communication as we know it would just fall apart.
You'd end up with sentences like this, just a bunch of empty slots. Without nouns, we have no clue who is doing what, to whom, or where it's all happening. It's totally meaningless, right? We need words to fill in those blanks and actually bring the world to life. And this is where our hero comes in, the noun. A noun is really just a naming word. It's the label we put on a person, a place, a thing, or even an idea. It's the word that fills in all those blanks and gives us clarity. Okay, so we know what a noun is. Now let's break them down a bit. Our first big distinction is all about the difference between talking about things in general and getting really specific. This is a super important difference. Common nouns are our general, everyday labels for stuff like city or teacher. Notice they start with a lowercase letter. But the second you want to name a specific one, you use a proper noun. And the dead giveaway, it is always capitalized. That capital letter is like a little flag saying, hey, this one is special. Let's look at how this plays out. We can talk about any city, but India is a specific country, so it's a proper noun. Same goes for a teacher in general versus a specific person named Rahul. And you can see how we go from a generic company to the one and only Google. It's all about zooming in from the broad category to the unique individual. Let's move on to our next big category. This one is all about the difference between things that exist out here in the physical world and things that exist only in our minds and in our hearts. The easiest test for this is super simple. If you can experience it with your five senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, or touch, it's a concrete noun. But if it's an idea, a quality, or a feeling that you know is real but you can't physically grab onto, well, that's an abstract noun. Just look at the contrast here. You can hold an apple. You can hear music. They're tangible, they're concrete. But concepts like love and honesty, you can't exactly hold those in your hand. They're intangible. And these abstract nouns are so important because they let us talk about the most powerful forces in our lives, like freedom and happiness. Okay, so we can name things specifically, and we can separate the physical from the conceptual. But how do we talk about how many of something there are? That's where our next set of noun types comes right in. We can actually sort nouns by how we quantify them. First, you've got your countable nouns. These are easy. You can put a number on them, like 1 pen or 3 books. Simple. Then there are uncountable nouns, things you can't really count one by one, like water or information. And then we have these really handy shortcuts called collective nouns, which give us a single name for a whole group, like a team of players or a flock of birds. So for our final section, let's put all of these nouns to work. You see, a noun doesn't just sit there looking pretty, it has a job to do in a sentence. Let's check out the most important roles they play. Nouns can be the star of the show as the subject. That's the one doing the action, like the dog. They can also be the one that receives the action, and we call that the object, like a gift. And they can show ownership, telling us who something belongs to, usually with that little apostrophe S, just like in Ria's bag. And that really brings us full circle. Nouns truly are the foundation of our language. They give us the amazing power to identify, to categorize, and to talk about everything around us and inside us. Without them, we just couldn't build clear, meaningful sentences. So there you have it, a deep dive into the world of nouns. They are so much more than just words on a page. They're the fundamental tools we use to make sense of our reality and share it with each other. Now that you know the building